Je vais faire une traduction en français dans l'anglais Françoise. So, we have the pleasure to have with us Srinidhi, bhai. Honestly, to describe him is very difficult because I got a long biodata and I can't imagine someone who is still very young, with so many talents and skills. Donc en français, Srinidhi bhai, il vient de Madhuban, il vit là-bas. Et c'est difficile de le présenter parce qu'il a tellement de spécialités que la liste est longue. What I could select from long biodata is deputy manager, I don't know exactly, of a global hospital. And so he manage many activities inside not only global hospital, but there are 7 hospitals with a lot of departments. And so he manage all activities. Donc, en fait, il est sous-directeur à Global Hospital et il gère toutes les activités, pas seulement le Global Hospital à Montagu, mais il y a 7 hôpitaux et de nombreux autres départements. I just selected that, and I'm sure he went in different countries in the world for conferences, a program. Now he's in the tour in Europe. Donc, en fait, il va dans différents pays, il a fait des conférences. He has been a representative to the UN Day for Youth. Donc, il a été représentant pour les Brahmins au niveau de la Journée internationale des jeunes. So now I give you the audience, the floor online and in-house. So you have, and it will be on YouTube and after on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. It's good to be here. Quite lovely weather. Today, with that long introduction cut short and the different roles that we all play, each of our roles bring us to demanding situations. And I would like to share a few thoughts on what I see and how I see those demanding situations could be turned to our own advantage. There is no need for me to elaborate about the world is a challenging place now, and as time passes by, it becomes more and more challenging with every passing day. On several aspects, the aspects of the political turmoil in the world, the physical wars, conflicts, all of that increasing is not a surprise for us. We pick up the newspaper or pick up our smartphones for that matter. We tend to see a lot more. And even when we don't want to pick up something and want to see what is happening in the world around us, if we could just open our eyes and see, we'd still see a different kind of a world. Today's topic mentions the word anxiety, and it is not something very pleasing for us to listen to this word anxiety, because none of us would like to be anxious. Even children in the world today would not want to be anxious, whether it is the anxiety of exams or anything that is unprecedented or anything that we have not prepared ourselves for. It looks like a bad soup to be in. But then, for our good or for our worse or for our own lack of choice, we have landed in that soup. One of those soups are climate change. And it is something that is visible. We don't have to be reading about it or watching about it. It is just visible outside. Our rain patterns have changed. Europe happens to be recording one of the hottest summers ever. And one of my friends who lives south of Alps, she told me that it was 36 degrees last week. And I said, what, is it Indian summer? So in the climate world also, people have been talking about something of the word anxiety, and people have called it climate anxiety. And if you participate into conferences and go to these environment events, you will see that more and people have started picking up this climate anxiety. They know that climate change is happening. They know that the rainfall patterns are changing. They know that temperatures are rising. But what they don't know is how to deal with it. The scientists have been telling us about the 1.5-degree rise in global temperatures and what it means to us in terms of... Louder? Okay. So climate scientists have been telling us for over decades now about the various challenges that climate change brings us. Earlier, we were talking about climate mitigation. A few years later, we changed that word to climate resilience. And today, we are talking about climate adaptability. That means we cannot now be contributing in making a positive change because we are well beyond that point. So we have crossed that tipping point. And all that we need to do now is to adapt ourselves to the situations that are out there. That means we cannot reverse it. So there's several situations like this, which puts us in difficult points where we do not have any choice but to adapt. Any of us who feel that way in our real lives, where we say that, okay, we cannot change anything, but only adapt. Do you feel that way? Yeah. So if you are not feeling that way, it just means that you're not living in this world. So it is the practical reality for everyone, for each one of us, no matter which part of the world we are in, whether we are in the East, whether we are in the West, whether we want to call ourselves in the global North of being an affluent country, a first world country, or if I want to call myself living in the global South, where I'm a developing country or an underdeveloped country, our challenges are the same. Our reality is the same. It's just that if we are trying to wear a different colored glass, we might want to see it that we are somewhere different. But in reality, when you take out those glasses, it is the same world. That's the reality for you. Now let us come to the aspect of adaptability. Even though some of us might not agree with the theory of evolution and the laws of creation and the different ways how we understand the world was created, one of the laws that nature has put forth to us is the survival of the fittest. On the basis of this understanding, we have formulated our own theory of evolution, at least in part. So here, the survival of the fittest tells us that the species that can survive is the species that can adapt. And when we say adapt, it means that the situations remain the same around it. the temperature is same around it. Food availability could be a constraint. A comfortable living environment could be a constraint. But no matter what the constraints are, what the limitations that the species is put into, it will learn to adapt itself to the challenges that comes. Meaning, if there is less water, this species will adopt itself a certain measure to accept it as a reality, maybe trying to use less water, but still live in the same situation. In similar fashions, it could be shortage of food, but this species will accept that shortage, try to reduce its consumption patterns, consume less, and still adapt to what the situation is given around. Similarly, external climates, whether the weather is hot, if it is hot, this species adapts itself by reducing its body temperature and still live comfortably around it. And if the temperature becomes very cold outside, surrounding situations, it would try to stay indoors, or in human beings' cases, put on some warm clothes or a heater if that is available, and still adapt to the situations. So this adaptability is something that physically we see in the world, and many species in the nature try to adapt itself. And I'll ask you a question, because if this does not become an interaction, I continue speaking, meaning I would become tired and you would fall asleep, and I would not want that to happen. So we understand adaptability like this. But what happens to species that don't adapt?
They die.
They
Disappear.
Yes, they die, they disappear.
phased out.
Phased out. So nature simply removes them, says, you're not fit here. It says extinction is one option, destruction is one option, but nature is kind and loving. She does not just give you those two options. She says one more option. She says, migrate. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere where the situations are better off. So this is an option that nature gives us. So in simple words, it means change or perish. You change. If you cannot change, you shall perish here. And if you don't want to perish, go somewhere where you can adapt to a different environment. Maybe the challenges are not the same as it is here. And the reality of our world, at least in this part of the world, a challenge that we also have been facing over the few years is the challenge of migration. Human beings have been migrating, whether it was from Syria or Northern Africa, Afghanistan, or war-torn parts of the world. People have moved away because they could not adapt to what was happening around them. And for seeking safe haven or better pasture, better grounds, people have migrated. And that migration has caused its own set of challenges here. Yeah. There are rising cases of cultural misunderstanding in northern parts of Europe. In Central Europe, there is an overwhelming number of refugees. And because they come from a different cultural understanding, they are finding it difficult to fit in. And that is giving birth to a different set of issues on its own. Some people are pro it, some people are against it. In the UK, there is a party that supports migrants coming in, and then there is a party that does not. And as we speak, as recent as last week, we all hear that UK had a series of protests. And it might come as a funny surprise to you that the Indian High Commission, just the week that I was supposed to travel to the UK, because I was in the UK last week, I just arrived from UK here this morning to Geneva. Last week, when I was due to travel, I'm supposed to take my flight, the government of India issued a warning to all Indian travelers headed to the UK. And the warning said there are mass protests happening in the UK, especially in southern London. So be careful, you are on your own. A few years ago, this would sound absurd because it would be the British High Commission in London which would give warnings to British citizens here, giving an advisory that which parts of India you should not go to. But today, it is a sudden turn of tables that today we in India have to be warned about what might be not happening proper in the UK. So that is uncertain world for you. And like nature, everywhere else, the message has been the same. If there are people who have migrated, for them the message is change or perish. So all we need to do is change, adapt. And now comes the question, is in the face of anxiety, in the face of the challenges that we are seeing around climate change or migrant crisis or our own set of financial problems that the world is facing and the political issues, how do we change? How do we adapt? And this is a question that mires the minds of people today, that how do we do it? So this is something that you might share your thoughts about. What do you think? How do we change? Any thoughts that you might have? It is not something that we are finding answers here to a question, but let's start thoughts about how do we change?
Change your own reaction to it.
Yeah, change our own reaction to it, because what is happening is happening. I have no control over it, so let me change my reaction. Okay, how else do I change? Because the message is very clear: change or perish, or migrate. Go back from wherever I come from. How do I change? And what do I change?
I always ask old people, it's difficult to change. You know, we have some habits. Every day we do the same. And when we are told to change, it's very difficult. We don't have the energy to do it and the capacity to do it. So in fact, with that, we tolerate it. And well, that's what we do.
Very good. There is an honest acceptance there, saying that as you get old, it becomes difficult for you to change. Almost at a certain point of time in life when you would say that, no, I cannot change anymore because I'm old, I don't have energy, neither do I have time, neither do I have the energy to focus on bringing about change. And it's very good. All I end up doing is tolerating, saying, okay, this is how I am. Probably there's nothing much that I could do with myself. So whatever the situation is, I tolerate. I do not adapt myself to it, but just accept it, tolerate it. It's a good way of changing as well, to accept that change. Anything else that people might have? How do I change and what do I change?
Do a lot of meditation,
Do a lot of meditation.
get to spirituality.
Get to spirituality.
I just want to say something about your positioning, which I agree, I can understand because it's what I hear from many sources. But from my point of view, you could turn it around because it is, if you like, the time, because you do not have other hindrances like work, pressure, stress. You could be, if you like, in the ideal situation to really concentrate on change. Like I always thought I will manage one day when I am older, not old. And I always thought like that time, from my perspective, like it would be possible to turn it around and say, I don't have any other thing than doing this if I really want to. I think, I mean, it's my hope to be able to change. If that is not possible. But no, I mean, for me to change, it's important to really want it. You must really get to the bottom of bad things you don't like, and then have the courage to change, because it takes a lot of decision and energy and commitment, and which I understand at your age is very difficult. But it's also free from other.
It's a beautiful perspective.
From other, pressures we have. I guess, I mean, I don't know, I am not judging here. I'm just giving a point of view. It's free of any, I can only talk from my age. I cannot talk from your age, and I respect your thought.
Wonderful. It's not that you're trying to cut short on what that person is saying. It is true. And definitely, like you said, that when it comes to change, many of us, especially people who are young by the age of the body, would believe that when in the future, when I won't have much responsibilities, kids and job and different juggling things that I'm doing, probably then I can work this out. And many people do it, it is true. And it is also true what he said, that at a certain point of time, you have gotten used to a certain way of living, a certain way of thinking, that you now feel that it is impossible to go back or to shift that time. Very good. Thank you for bringing those perspectives. Now let us come to the other aspect of today's talk. The topic said about another word, which is well-being. It is a word that is slowly picked up very well in different circles. I work for a hospital, so for us, well-being is a part and parcel of our daily work. And today, when I see the word well-being, it does not just mean to be physically healthy. Yeah. Today, people say that we are going to a well-being workshop. And people also go to a spa saying that this is part of my well-being routine. So as you might understand, going to a well-being workshop, going to a spa is 100% different than going to a hospital. When you go to a hospital, it means that you're not well, and you're going to a hospital so that you want to regain your health. So that is the wellness part that many people think as hospital is a source that brings you the feeling of well-being physically. But now, thankfully, we have come to a part where we see well-being not just as physical health, but also as going to a spa. What happens in a spa? For those of you who might have gone to a spa, might tell me.
Great massages.
Yes, there are great massages. So there is some nice aroma in the air. Yes. Oil baths, pedicure, manicure, head massage. Yeah. Jacuzzi. So all of this is part of our well-being. So even though physically the body might not be feeling disease, but it still is missing out on the factor of well-being. It says that it's just not healthy, something more has to happen to it. A sense of being well. Wellness is something that people look for. Now, we just don't stop there. We have now called ourselves, for the sake of wellness therapies, we go to different therapies now. Let's assume if I do not feel good. Physically, the body is okay. I don't have to go to the hospital. The health is fine, but I still might want to go to a spa. But now I've also gone to a spa. The body feels absolutely relaxed, but something is happening inside my mind. If the kids in the house are making too much of noise, if they're crying, if they're angry about something, my spa treatment is gone away in a week. Now, what do I do to this? I have gone to a spa, I'm physically healthy, and I'm going to work on a Monday morning, which is tomorrow. And suddenly, the load of work that I see gives me something called as Monday blues. For those of you who have heard that term, would know what it means. It means
Tuesday blues, Wednesday.
So those Monday blues get carried over to Tuesdays and Wednesdays. It is a loss of well-being, a loss of feeling of well-being by just imagining the amount of work that I need to do. I'm not doing it at the moment, but just imagining that I have to do this much takes away my sense of well-being. I suddenly start feeling blue. So how do I set this up now? Sunday I had been to a spa, but Monday blues took away that well-being that spa gave me. What do I do now? So here is well-being for us. That what I think, what I start feeling inside, because of the situations around me, because of the job, because of the kids, because of the requirements that are loaded upon me, more the requirement, more people need things from me, slowly my well-being diminishes. And add on to this is the reality of politics, reality of migrant crisis, reality of climate change, reality of other different layers, different challenges that comes to me. So my sense of well-being disappears in the layers of these different challenges that come upon me. But nonetheless, we all want total well-being. We want to feel nice. We want to feel good. And for the sake of feeling good, what do? I'll tell you. Just like we had a spa therapy, when I feel pressured, when I feel not so well, there are different treatments that people resort to. For example, when the feel-good factor is not so good, I call on something which is called as retail therapy. Do you know what is retail therapy?
Shopping.
Shopping.
Yeah. Shoes. Shoes
Shoes.
therapy.
Go to a mall, buy something new. And when I do this retail therapy, this is a new word. People use it now. Even in the advertisement billboards, people say, let us indulge in some retail therapy. And how is that a therapy? You are spending your own money on buying something, and it gives you a feeling of therapy. It brings you a feeling of well-being. How does it do that? The answer is when you're doing shopping, you're spending money, you feel that you are doing something for yourself. And this act of doing something for myself brings me my well-being. I feel like therapy. It happens, it is reality. And this is how it has been marketed now to people. Because if you're not feeling nice, do something for yourself. What? Do some shopping.
So that I can feel happy, says the businessman.
Yeah. So you can feel happy. Sense of well-being could come back to you. By doing what? By doing something for the self. And usually, this could be shopping, buying things. This could be going on a vacation. Yeah, for those of us who could afford. Some of us would go every weekend out somewhere. And we are calling it weekend getaway. You're getting away on the weekend, escaping what is there, going away somewhere. And going to that nice place brings you a sense of well-being. And you are saying that this is me time. I am taking time away for myself. Then there is a third aspect as well, where we say that when I don't feel nice, I indulge in something. People often eat at their favorite restaurant, or buy an ice cream, or indulge in a chocolate.
Sugar.
Sugar craving.
Flowers.
Yeah,
Flowers.
flowers. Yeah.
Oh.
It's great. It's a good substitute for chocolate.
So, in the young lingo, meaning where young people talk in a different language, of course, they might speak the same tongue that we speak, but the choice of their words are different. So, in one of the recent conversations with young people that I had, school-going kids, I told them that money can't buy happiness, but it can buy chocolate. Well, it is something similar to happiness. That is what they said to me. So, for buying happiness, for regaining the sense of well-being, whether I indulge in retail therapy, whether I go on a weekend getaway, whether I eat chocolate, or whether I buy flowers, or do something that I do for myself, the underlying is that all of that you are doing this for your well-being is doing something for the self. The underlying line is this, that by doing something for the self, I regain a sense of well-being. The people in the marketing world have understood it. McDonald's has understood it. The chocolate manufacturers, the mall business has understood it. Who has not understood is I, the consumer. I know that by going to retail therapy, food therapy, weekend getaway, holiday therapy, I will regain a sense of well-being. But when I come back from it, what happens? How quickly my sense of well-being goes away. So, coming to that underlying topic, that when I do something for myself, my sense of well-being returns to me. But how often do I do something for myself? And what does it mean to do something for myself? If I feel chocolate, naturally it gives me happiness. The moment chocolate melts in my mouth, of course in Switzerland, I don't have to talk about chocolates. People would naturally laugh. Happens. But what happens then when that sugar goes away?
Guilt.
Guilt. Guilt takes over.
Regret.
Regret. Saying that I've eaten more than what I had to. Then I suddenly go up on the scales and say, how much weight have I put on?
The glucose reading.
The glucose reading, diabetes, doctors saying, no, please monitor your sugar intake. I want to regain sense of my well-being. And here, the physical health, the doctor says, no, you cannot do that. Holidays, if I take frequent holidays, my financial health will go away. I cannot afford it. Even if I'm a sheikh from Arab countries, I cannot. Yeah, it is true. Financial health of the world is also in turmoil today. And then there is a different guilt that comes from taking too many frequent holidays. Oh, it is not good for the climate. You cannot take frequent flights. Stick to doing something local. So all of that adds on to the pressure of the well-being. So how do I do something for myself that does not take me on a guilt trip, does not hamper my financial health, but yet brings me a sense of well-being? And this is where spirituality has been offering help to people. During COVID, we coined a nice line, not me, somebody. It said, because it was a lockdown, people could not go out, could not travel. Their sense of well-being had disappeared. They did not have COVID, but just by staying at home for so long, their sense of well-being had dissipated. And the line said, if you cannot go outside, go within. If you cannot make a journey outside, take a trip inside, do a journey within. And that journey, that trip, that going is what brings my feeling of well-being. It's about doing something for my own self, brings back the feeling of well-being. Because the sense of well-being comes from inside. In the Brahma Kumaris, there is a nice definition for this word, being. We're all human beings. There are two parts to us. One is the human part, and the second is the being part. The human part is visible. It is right in front of us. It requires food. It requires clothing. It requires all of the different things that the physical world gives us. But the well-being part comes from the being part. This well-being can happen by focusing on that being part. this has nothing to do with the human part. Even if you don't give it the chocolate, it can still feel nice. Because chocolate is something physical. It was for the human part, but it was not for the being part. To understand the essence of the being would help us to be in that state of well-being. And what is this being part? This being part is naturally loving. It is naturally peaceful. It is naturally kind. It is naturally strong. It is naturally wise. This is how this being part is. When I'm actually going on a holiday away from work, what am I looking for is, people often say, 2 days of peace of mind. Peace. But where was I looking for? I was looking for that on a holiday. But why am I looking for it? It's because the being, the inner self that wants that therapy is actually that peace therapy. It wants that peace somewhere. But what it has forgotten is that peace lies within. It is my original nature. It is how the being is. And that is the reason it craves outside. Today we say that people don't love me. It's because I am that love, and I need that same love to come within. A similar example, an analogy to speak of, is the physical body. Science today tells us that the physical body is made up of 70% water. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
Yes, everybody knows this. So 70% of the body's physical weight, the physical body, comes from fluids, body fluids, blood, all different kinds of it. But in general, majority of it is H2O, it's water. What happens when the percentage of this liquid in the body goes down? For example, the body is made up of 70% of water. If it is hot outside, I sweat too much, body loses a lot of water, I feel dehydrated. What do?
You get a sunstroke and you need to have mineral salts.
Yes. So what I need to do is, the moment the body loses water, the body becomes dehydrated. Even the doctors will tell you, pick up a glass of water, fill it in. Means if the percentage of the body's water content goes anywhere lesser than 70%, the body demands water. Why? Because it is made up of water and it demands that water. This is the physical self. But the being, which is not physical, which demands peace, it is also made up of peace. When that sense of peace diminishes, goes down, I seek peace from outside. I want to go out in a park, sit somewhere nice, take a holiday. I would say, peace. I don't want to think about my work. If I'm away from my work physically, I think that will bring me peace. And it does for many people. It does. You go on a holiday, you come back refreshed. It happens to you. How did it do? Going somewhere out there, was there peace available that you bought it inside? No. Naturally, by spending time in peace, I reaccumulate the loss of peace that I had experienced in my being. Now we come to the last part, is what happens when I do not have the liberty to go out to refill the peace. True. Do we have the liberty every moment? No. Let's say I'm working today. Suddenly, too many people have shouted around me. My sense of peace has diminished. I feel that I need a moment of break now. But there is a meeting after meeting after meeting, and I cannot take that break. What happens to my sense of well-being? My peace goes down. When I come back home, I am cranky. Yes, I am irritated myself. Why? It's because I did not get a chance to hydrate myself with a dose of peace. I could not focus on that being part which was demanding peace, but I could not give that peace to it. So how do we do this? Is to achieve the sense of well-being. I understand the being, what the being is made up of. The being demands peace. The being is made up of love. The being is made up of kindness. That is how I am. And that is the reason I demand those things. When I cannot go out, when I cannot take a break physically, I need to learn to take a break inside, to rehydrate myself with the dose of peace, the dose of love, the dose of kindness. And how do I do it? Is by simply reminding who I am. For the physical body, I need to get water from the physical world because water comes from outside. But on the inner world, the inner being, the being part, which is naturally peaceful, to get that peace, I do not have to go out. Where peace actually lies is within. I am the source. I am the reservoir. If I go within, if I take a few moments to switch from what I'm doing to just focus on the being, I can tap into that inner resource pool of peace, of love, of joy, happiness, of kindness, of power. And that happens by just taking these little moments of going away. Not physically away, but shifting my consciousness, shifting my thoughts to those peaceful thoughts. And this shift, if you want to call it, you might want to call it meditation, you might want to call it reflection, or you might want to call it an inner journey. And this inner journey does not take you on a guilt trip. This inner journey does not take you on a guilt trip. It does not harm your physical health. It does not harm your financial health. And it is ready, free, and available at every moment. And all I need to do is switch. In my own mind, I focus not on the physical, but on the being part, a being that is peaceful. And when I come to this space of doing something for myself, taking time out for myself, taking few moments for myself, it brings back the feeling of well-being. without spending money, without thinking about, oh, chocolate, without going on a holiday. It does it here and now. Would you like to try that out? Yeah? Yeah. So what we'll do is in the next few moments, I'll try to give you a few thoughts to take you on this inner journey. If you want, you might close your eyes. If you would like, you can keep them open. If you would want a point of focus so that your mind does not drift away, you might focus on a point of light here. The choice is up to you. We'll do it for the next 3 minutes. Ready? Can we do it? I slowly shift my attention from the outer to the inner. I slowly focus my attention on my breathing. I slowly inhale and I slowly exhale. I consciously slow down and I relax. I remind myself that I am naturally peaceful. I am a being of peace. Peace is my original nature. I remain peaceful. I look within and I realize that everything I need is within me. And to reconnect to my inner peace. Whenever I need, I go within and reconnect to my peaceful nature. Here, I find joy. I find love. I find power. This is my inner resource. This is how I am. With this awareness, that I am a peaceful being. I come out and bring peace to everyone. I radiate the thoughts of peace. In my interactions, in my relationships, I remain peaceful. Wherever I go, I bring this energy of peace. You may open your eyes. Does this inner journey cost us much? No, it does not. Do I have to go physically somewhere? No. Do I have to be strong in body to make this travel? No. Do I need to spend money? No. After coming back from this trip, do I feel guilty of indulging? No. So these are simple techniques that are offered to everyone. And even when you see things outside are not so well, reminding myself that the outside is beyond my control, but what I can control is the inside. Brings me to a point where my well-being increases, brings me an ability to change, to adapt, and to look at things and yet have that power to tolerate, but with love. And I think that is what is required in a challenging world today. Because situations, people, problems, we do not have control over them. Slowly, they might appear like going out of control, but we can gain control on the inside. And that is a gift that each one of us possesses. And all we need to do is use this gift to bring ourselves the sense of well-being. Not to look outside, but to look within. That is all that I had to share. Thank you very much. And if you would like to share something, ask something, read.
You can ask them if they want.
Yeah. Those of our friends who are online on Zoom, if they would like to share something, if they would like to ask something, the floor is yours.
I think they can put their mic.
Yeah, you can open your mics too. For those of us who are here,
Thank you so much anyway. Fine showing the inside, yes, I appreciate it.
okay.
Is it the same reservoir of joy for everyone? The same?
course.
Okay. The big question.
It is how we all are made up of. All of our human bodies, no matter where you were born, whether you were born in Algeria or Afghanistan or China or Sweden, if you were born close to the ocean, whether you were born in the desert, all the human bodies have 70% water. Similarly, No matter who we are, where we come from, our being is made up of the same. Whether you're a Muslim, whether you are an atheist, whether you are a believer, whether whomsoever you believe in, each one of us still look for the same joy, look for the same peace, look for the same love, look for the same friendship, look for the same feeling of being cared for. It is common for everyone. And the reason why it is common is because we all are made up of the same things. Made up of the same things. We are all made up of the same peace, same love, same joy, same kindness. And it is what you see across on the planet.
And it's also, I think it's good for everyone. Really, all those that look for in relationships or things or, yeah.
And what about foolish desire? Desire. Wants.
True.
Aussi, j'ai pas compris.
Foolish desires. Foolish desire. The question is about foolish desires.
What, foolish desire, like,
Yeah, the desire is about ice cream, chocolate, a Gucci bag, Prada, yeah, different brands.
Avenge, hate, proud.
yeah.
What about that?
You might see them. That is also a universal common. Yeah. As we see universal goodness as common, there are also universal weaknesses that are also common. And there is no surprise why it is common across the human race, because we have tried to find those things. We have tried to find peace. We have tried to find joy. We have tried to find happiness. But in the process of trying to achieve that, we used all means possible. And by doing so, we get trapped into these weaknesses. Jealousy, of hatred, of anger. And we think that these are also things, jealousy, hatred, anger, fear. But what are they really? They're really the absence of the good things. To give an analogy would be, what is darkness?
Absence of light.
It's simply the absence of light. You switch on the light, darkness has disappeared. I cannot quantify darkness. What is hatred? It is loss of love. It is simply the lack of love. You started to hate a person so much because you have stopped loving them. But if you replace that with love, slowly, slowly, that hatred will go away. And in prisons, in corrective facilities, this is what people have been teaching. Not that everybody has learned successfully, but those who learned, yeah, they have moved on. For example, Nelson Mandela, a classic example. He was put to prison in South Africa, but he did not allow hatred to go inside him. He used the power of love to overcome that hatred. He did not hate the white people for the crimes that they did for whatever amount of time. When he came out, his words were not of revenge. It was not filled with vengeance because he was put in jail for so long. He came out with a reconciliatory words. He came out with words of peace, love, of acceptance for everyone. He came out with forgiveness. How did that happen? Because he understood that all of these, hatred, anger, jealousy, or the lack of those good things, you fill that in, goes away.
But then we don't know about the process, right? Because in a way, we think it was all good with him, but maybe he went through hatred and the
Sure.
process not
Sure.
went through awareness of hatred or not, I don't know, wanting people or having things against, and then he realized that was not the good way. Maybe,
Yeah.
not saying it was, but that's where awareness comes in, or at least you recognize what you feel that's not the right way, and then you learn, and if you recognize it, you can change also.
True.
Because it's not bad to feel these things. They are part also
Not
of
at all.
our path. And it's just not to give in to these things. I think the work we have to do.
The first step is recognizing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. The moment you say that I feel angry, you have recognized it.
That's it. It's already less powerful.
Yes, it is already less powerful. Now all you need is an antidote. You recognize that you're thirsty. All you need is that glass of water. But if I sit there saying that I am angry, I'm thirsty and thirsty and thirsty, somebody else will not give me that glass of water. I need to get it. Because anger is inside me. So what is anger? It is the loss of peace. It is just the absence of peace. So what I do, instantly when I see that I am angry, I recognize it and I say, the antidote is peace. Where is it? Inside me.
Or what do I want to live
Yeah.
inside of me? What do I want to feel really?
Yeah. So I create that switch inside. I refill, I hydrate. I remind myself that this is not who I am. This is a temporary state of being. Because I've lost peace, I feel angry. I've lost water, I feel thirsty. Let me fill that in. And when I switch that consciousness, I don't remain angry for longer. There are people in the world who do not get angry easily. And there are also people in the world who get angry quickly, and at the same time, they come out of anger also very quickly. How? Is only by reminding themselves that who they are. That awareness, that switch happens. And we are the ones who are to make that switch. Even for Nelson Mandela, he had help. He had the books of Gandhi. He had that example, and he said, let me use this tool. The tools are here for us, but it is for us to use them. And when we use, we make that switch. And this switch brings about such an magnanimous transformation in people because they have started working slowly, slowly, bit by bit. And over the years, you turn out to be Nelson Mandela. He was not Nelson Mandela from the day one, but he started that journey, and that journey took you to greatness.
He had a lot of time in that prison
Yeah,
to reflect.
we all have a lot of time. We all do. And if we use that time just bit by bit, little by little, every day, it's a daily journey. We're not living here for a certain amount of years and then we will start living after earning this much of money, making a home, and then I'll start living. No, every day is life. So every day, if I refill peace, love, happiness, go on that inner journey, take regular breaks. Regular breaks meaning not away from work, but away from the chatter that is happening inside. Step aside, refill, and you will see that you will have a peaceful day by the end of the day. It has worked for me, it has worked for millions of people. It'll work for you. All that we have is within. Let's use it, that's all.
How long do you meditate, if I can ask?
How long I meditate? In terms of sitting and meditating, taking time out for myself, I at least spend 2 hours a day. I spend 45 minutes in the morning, then I spend an hour in the evening. I try to. And then during the day, here at the Brahma Kumaris, we practice something called as traffic control. During every hour of the clock, I take a moment of break. Let's say less than a minute. There is a silent music that is played in the center when you are at the center. If you're outside working, you just you might set a phone alarm or your phone.
Sorry. Voila.
That's all right. Phone alarms are good things.
Traffic
They remind you
control.
to control the traffic.
Traffic control subject.
Yeah. So doing it several times during the day, 30 seconds, 10 seconds here and there, helps you a great deal. Okay?
Yeah.
But just one question, when you say the traffic control and you take a moment, is it how long out of the hour, like a minute? Or
Once an hour. Once an hour for a minute. A minute and 1 hour. Yeah. Sometimes you might extend it if you feel like
Yeah,
it.
sure. But
Yeah. Minute is 1 minute. Sometimes you might be very busy, but you might go to the washroom. Yeah. And you can still do it there. Nobody says you cannot meditate in washroom. You can. You can do it wherever. That's the beauty of it. In the initial days, some people use meditation apps and other things. But what app do we really need is applying here,
yeah.
not applying on the phone.
Ah,
And that helps. Yeah. That is what is really that matters. And once you train it, doing every hour, it becomes natural.
do you do breathing sessions?
Physically, either ways you are breathing, but you shift focus on your breathing and then you slowly move inside, because breathing also happens to be on a very physical level, but then you have to tap into that inner reservoir and it is invisible. So
It helps.
it helps.
Thank you very much.
We can finish by doing the certification.
Oh yeah.
And after we have a tool, except for the one who are online, we can tell them
A virtual Toli.
virtual tool.
Okay. So we close with a minute of meditation, with a minute of silence. While we meditate, you might create the same thoughts that we had created a few moments ago. Of course, I had helped you create that thoughts and you recreated them, but now you can create those own thoughts for your own self. So we'll just do that in silence. Om Shanti. You all get a sweet. It is called Toli. It's a little piece.